Hello everybody, today we're going to be converting this fluorescent shop light to LED, direct wire. And I'll explain that here in a moment, but this is what the finished product will look like. So we've converted from ballasted fluorescent tubes to direct wire LED tubes. And the reason I've done this is because the ballasts in these fixtures, these really cheap shop lights, just are not good. They don't start the bulbs reliably, and that can be a problem. So let me turn it on and see if I can show you. Sometimes, today it's doing it fine, one of the bulbs gets stuck. And this fan is still on. One of the bulbs gets stuck, and that's just not good. So, of course, the finished product, instant on, and the old fluorescent. So, obviously it's much brighter. You get 3 color settings because we are going to use these Sylvania LED tubes. I picked these up at the Home Depot. I originally had another brand, but they didn't work very well because the ballasts in these are not as high quality as the magnetic and electronically ballasted. These are a mix, I think, and they're just not good. I got these lights for free, found them in a dumpster. They work, but you know, they just don't work like I want them to. So, like I said, we're going to use these bulbs here. These are the exact same bulbs that are in this fixture, and I'm going to show you how to direct wire this light. So let's go ahead and get started. Before we continue, I want to quickly share what tools we are going to use. We will need a pair of wire strippers, some side cutters. Of course, these have it built in, but I have a separate pair here. A Sharpie for a sticker you'll see later on. A Phillips head screwdriver. You might need a different kind depending on your fixture, but that's what we need here. And some wire nuts. Of course, first we'll make sure the power is off, and we will remove the bulbs. So you just turn them either direction, and they will come out. Now these sockets are not the best, so we're going to have a little bit of trouble with it. There we go. That wasn't very elegant at all. Let's see here. I'll go and set it down. We'll put it in a corner. A nice safe place for the fluorescent tube. We'll do the same for the other one. Okay, with the bulbs removed, we can see there are 2 screws on either end of the reflector here. And we will need to remove these 2. Once you remove one, the whole thing's going to want to fall on you. So you kind of have to hold it in the middle and remove the 2 while doing that. So I'm going to go ahead and find a Phillips screwdriver and we'll take the reflector off. Okay, with the reflector removed, we can see the ballast inside of the fixture. This particular one is a Keystone, a little better quality than the one in the other one that I did. This one over here. There are 2 different brands of lights. Anyway, so now we need to remove this ballast and redo some of the wiring. So let's go ahead and take these sockets out of the end here. And to do that, on this particular fixture, you just need to slide them out towards us. And it's really flimsy, so it's really easy to do. And they come right out like this. We're going to remove all wires from this set of sockets, and I'll show you how to do that. We need to remove the ballast itself, and we also need to remove these sockets. Okay, so what we need to do next is disconnect these wires. These are crimped wire nuts, so we'll just take care of that. So before we do anything with these wires, make sure, again, that your fixture is either unplugged or the power is turned off at the breaker. So we have no power to this fixture. I'm not responsible for you getting hurt by doing this, so be very careful. and make sure your power is turned off before you do any more modifications. Obviously, we wanted to make sure it was off to begin with, but you always want to double check. So now that we have ensured that the power is off, we are going to cut these two wires here. Now, you want to do it on the side of the in supply. If this was a regular wire nut, you could just undo the wire nut, but we can't do that here because it's these crimped things that I don't really like, but are very common in these kinds of fixtures. So, there, that's our new wiring. Let's remove the ballast. To do that, as you can see, we need to remove this nut here, and it will slide out. Let's get a tool for that. Okay, so I just have a pair of pliers here. We're going to use that to loosen this nut a little bit. Once that is loosened, we can just continue doing it by hand. The problem here is that this is a bolt, so it's going through the other side and nothing's holding it. So what I'm going to do is set the camera down and take it out. Okay, with the bolt removed, we can just pull it down and slide the ballast out. Sometimes these can be very heavy, depending on if it's rapid start or electronic. So there we go, no more ballast. I'm going to put the nut back on this bolt, just so that it stays with it. And that's pretty much the end of that. So now we'll move on to wiring for the new bulbs. Okay, as I previously mentioned, we need to remove all these wires from these sockets. And the easiest way to do that is to use another wire. So I'm going to use another wire here. I have this neutral coming out of the end of these sockets. I'm going to clip this off and strip it with the stripping tool. As I mentioned before, we need to take the wires out of some of these sockets. So I already did one of them here. We remove the wires from their little pinch style connections, and we need to do it to this one too. This is where our little stripped wire comes in. So I don't really have my tripod here at the moment, so we're going to use a little windowsill here, and there's a good way to do this. Let me demonstrate it with this one first. We have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 on each side, 2 for each side of the socket. And what we need to do is use this wire to help us remove these wires. So if I bring this one back into view here, hopefully it'll focus on it. And what I'm going to do is use this wire and shove it into the exact same hole as the one that currently has a wire. And the idea is that you push that down and hopefully it will move aside the little device in there and pop the wire out. So there's one. And now we will try to do the other. Again, you can just take your wire and it goes into the exact same hole there. And then just push down on it with your wire that you're using to get it out. And I'm getting it all bent up, so this isn't working so good. This socket is not as nice as some of the others I've done. So you might get it stuck like this. Now this is stuck. No big deal. Just take one of these wires and do the exact same thing. Push it back in there until it releases the other one. Now you do it very gently so that it doesn't get caught. So you don't push in too far, just enough to move it aside to get the other wire out. Okay, now the problem here is that I keep getting them stuck. Usually this doesn't happen. There we go. Okay, so we remove the wires from these two sockets. That's great. Oop, I'm zooming in and not even knowing it. There we go. So we have these two sockets. They have no wires. That's perfect. That's how we're going to use them. Let me set the camera down again, because now we're going to take a look at the other sockets at the other end, because these are all, if I can talk, these are already wired for what we would like to do. So usually this white wire here is yellow. Usually find a yellow one that connects the two here at the end without the blue and the red. Now, sometimes it's like this. It all depends on the ballast. It really all depends on the ballast. So this is wired perfect for our direct wire solution. So what I'm going to do is literally cut these wires off. Instead of removing them, because these are already good, I'm gonna give some space here and give them a snip. So there's our direct wire sockets. So let me explain this. Okay, using the instructions that come with these bulbs, they have some fantastic diagrams here to share with you. So we have type A, and that is the magnetic or electronic ballast that we just removed. And we're going to convert the fixture to type B. They show that over here. Now there's a couple different ways you can do this. The way that we're going to do it is number one here, single-ended power input. And the reason that we are going to do that is it requires less wire. If you're to do it this way, where you have the line and the neutral, or the live and the neutral on either end, that just requires more wire. And this setup is usually good enough. So we're going to do that, and that's what is happening here. If we go back over to our sockets, we have it wired up perfectly. We have the white, which is the neutral, and the red and the blue for our line in, 120 volt. Perfect! Again, if your fixture isn't wired like this at one of the ends, you just remove the wires, like we did here, and wire it like so. All you have to do to wire it like this is just push the wires back into their areas, and that's how it's done. But this is already perfect for what we need. Again, we'll take a look at the diagrams. We're doing number one here for type B, where we have the line or live and the neutral, instead of doing the double-ended. Like I said, that just requires a little bit more wire, so I like doing this. Speaking of this instruction manual, if you have any questions, reference it, because every bulb version is a little bit different for how to wire these for direct wire. So here it does multiple different kinds, but some other brands may do it differently. So always reference what your little instruction manual has to say. A really nice addition that Sylvania added here are these stickers that you can put on the fixture and then mark what type you did, so that they know, whoever the other person may be in the future, that you have converted this fixture away from fluorescent and to direct wire. They give you 2 stickers, which is nice. I'm not sure if that's how it's supposed to be, but I got 2 of them here. I didn't know that because I didn't open the manual all the way for the other one that I did right here. So I'm definitely going to add that sticker to that so that anyone in the future knows that, and not just myself. So that's a very nice addition. We'll do that at the end. Let's get back to wiring our light. Before we reinstall these sockets, we need to strip the wires here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Perfect. We also need to do the same for our input wires. Great. So let's now insert our sockets back into the fixture here. They just slide back in. There we go. And now we need some wire nuts to wire it up. Wiring up this section of the light is quite easy. It all depends on what kind of wire you have first off. So if you have direct wire where it's coming from an electrical box on the ceiling or somewhere else, you'll have a black and a white. Simply connect the black to these 2 wires, the red and the blue. Again, yours might be of different color. And then you can connect the white to the white. Now, really, it doesn't actually matter. And if you want to, you can connect this red over here to this blue even, because it all goes to the same thing. So I have this here, and that fell out, isn't that nice? I have this cord. So how do I know they're both the same color? Well, one side has little ribs on it. That is our neutral. The side that is smooth is our positive, or line, or 120 volts, whatever. That's our positive, and the ribbed side is our neutral. So I'm going to bring these sockets back up here, and we'll put the wires together and wire it up. I just wanted to note that I did decide to take one of the colored wires and put it with the other colored one, just for one less wire to wire up. And it really, being like this, doesn't necessarily matter if this is your positive or this is your positive, because a bulb can go in either way, and it's not specifically specified. But I'm going to wire the white to the neutral, because that is the correct color for that, and the red is going to be our positive. Simply put your two wires like so and twist them together the best you can, because you have solid wire and stranded. So we'll do the best we can with that, and put your wire nut over it and twist it on. There we go. We'll do the same with the other one. And now our fixture is direct wire. Perfect. So what do we do at the other end? Well, we simply take those two sockets we took the wires out of and just set them in place. There we go. They're basically just a holder at this point. So now that everything is wired up, we can put the cover back on. So let's go ahead and do that. Before we do that, just a word of caution. I always like to make sure that my wire nuts are on and twisted nicely into place, and that they're not going to fall off. You want to make sure that they're tight, but not over tight, and that the wires are not going to fall out of the wire nuts. Okay, now we'll put the cover on. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and apply our sticker. I have applied the sticker. I suppose you'd want to put it over the original one, but I want to have both. So I applied the sticker and indicated how we wired the fixture. Okay, let's turn our attention to the bulbs. So we have some plastic end covers here. You can just pull these off and you'll get your typical little ends. So these bulbs have settings on them for the color temperature that you would like. I use 4100 because that is the brightest option. That is cool white, and that works well. So of course you can change these to whatever you want. You can do daylight or cool white, or what they call it, bright white. It's more like a warm white. So I set it right in the middle, and that's what I use. So we'll go ahead and put the bulbs in just like you would the fluorescent tubes. So let me get up there. Okay, it doesn't matter what end goes in what end. Simply put your bulb in, line it up at both ends of the fixture. You can get one end in and then do the other. And then just twist it into place until you hear the click. We'll do the same with the other one. Okay, with power turned back on and the fixture plugged back in, let's go ahead and turn it on. Here we go. Perfect. Very nice. Wow, that is a big difference having both of these be the exact same. So, obviously they have the different color temperature options, and you'd want to set this before you get them up here because it's kind of hard to do it otherwise. But there's your daylight supposedly, and there's your warm white. There's daylight and warm white. I like the cool white best. So yeah, lights up the room great. Much more reliable at starting than the not so good Ballast. Look at that. Instant. As much as I love fluorescent fixtures, these just weren't high enough quality or to be worth saving. So being LED makes a huge difference. We got preheat right there, that's all that matters. And there's both of them together. So I hope you enjoyed this video of how to convert one of these cheapo shop lights into a much better, because now you can replace the bulbs too, a direct wire LED shop light with these Sylvania bulbs. I've been pretty happy with them. Once again, I hope you enjoyed, and also please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much. for watching.